or eat at Frisch's. Um, Observe how the people treat you. Some people went to Walmart and they said a lot of the folks who check you out are like more rude to Central State students and like check all your receipts, and they don't give everybody that same treatment. And I don't know if it's racism, ageism, or something else, but that's why um, for those presentations they all do that.
Because I experienced working at CVS out here in Xenia.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Um, isn't there another student from Central that works there?
I think so.
That's what I thought. But she might be a year older.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, here is your. Did I ever paste it in? These are the exact instructions, which might help too. Edit assignment. That's what I have to do. So sometime during the beginning of the semester, students must expand their boundaries by putting themselves in a setting where they are the racial minority in a situation in which they are unfamiliar. CVS would work too. You can go in groups. Prior to participating, students identify common stereotypes and prejudices often associated with this population group. So up here it could be like country, Appalachian, whatever. Students must attend by themselves. I'm okay if you go with other people, just write your own work. Observe your feelings, reactions, experiences, but it is easier to go undercover when you're by yourself, where you just sit there and like snoop around, like just observing. Students identify stereotypes, prejudices, and differences in communication styles and cultures, which they observed or were the recipient. These identifications are to be written in outline format and presented to the class. So that's like the PowerPoint. Did you see the example one by chance? Or, okay. Would you want to see an example one?
Yes.
A lot of people like to see this one. So, where is it? There was one that was called Texas Roadhouse, because that's where they did theirs. Maybe it was the untitled presentation. Let's hope it is. No, that was human behavior in the social environment too. So let's try. You ever get lots of junk emails all in 1 minute?
Yeah.
Like they all come at lunchtime or something? Here we go. All right, so one student observed theirs here. So here's feelings. We thought someone who was white would come up to us like we see in social media. We were kind of nervous about going, but we went for my sweet mate's birthday. We thought we'd get dirty looks, especially since I had my natural hair out when we went to eat. I already knew that Texas Roadhouse was majority white, but still kind of suspicious. No, I don't want to add storage. I don't know why I did that. No, they got my dang credit cards. They better back off. All right. Next, I thought the reactions would be them staring at me and looking funny because I was the only one in the group with my natural hair. My sweet mate had the hair done. My experience was pleasant. It was like any other restaurant. The workers were polite and friendly. And I had the manager come up to us and talk to us. It was busy to wait over an hour to eat. I feel like at Texas Roadhouse, you're always waiting for an hour to eat anyway. So, but they thought maybe they'd be rude, like they sometimes are at Walmart, where they give you a hard time. Stereotypes, and this is just following what's in the syllabus. So, like answering every question. They thought people in the restaurant would stereotype us as loud and ghetto, also stereotype us as rude, especially since we were teenagers and Black women at that. Prejudices, that I was scared and that they would expect me to act, but tell me I was well behaved for Black women. Differences in communication styles and cultures. One thing is how Black people and white people talk. Another thing is how Black people and white people dress. how white people and black people grew up. So that's just her observations of the differences of communications. So, okay, we see, all right, everybody's here for class. So they just made that and presented it. So the idea being we go out, get an experience with that. They had me do it. And the point is, as a social worker, you're going to serve every like race, religion, creed, culture, and like see how I react to it. And then like get ready for working out in the field where you see like every possible diversity there is known to man. Oh, dang. They really did try to take my freaking credit card, didn't they? We are, do you believe we're this far done into the semester? It's scary because it's just gone so fast. Oh, it's like already chapter 10 and 11. There it is. Okay. I'm like, where do we go with all these chapters? 11, 12, 13. Hello. People are talking online. Any questions about that assignment? Okay. So now we're dipping back into poverty. Shoot, have I shown you guys the poverty film yet? I forget. I wish we could sound insulate the doors just because.
Right. It's this class is so close together.
It might not be distracting to you guys, but I do have legitimate diagnosed ADHD and it throws me off. Hello, Jade. Essie, Simani, Antonio, Tyrell. We got everybody. So poverty. Did you get any brief in poverty growing up? Anybody ever give you details? What city did you grow up in?
Cleveland.
So is there any poverty in Cleveland? East 1999? That's the name of a street. Bone Thugs always sings about it. You ever heard it? And East 1999 Eternal. See, this is what we grew up with that you guys didn't. It's all about Cleveland, and they do sing about poverty. Mr. Bill Collector. The first of the month, so that's also in reference to getting the check. So they're all from Cleveland, but this is a street in Cleveland that they always talk about. Maybe nobody's heard it. This is what we all grew up. Oh no, the sound isn't on though. That's such a sad situation. Oh well. Cleveland doesn't look like that though, does it? That's just their album that came out in 1995. I don't think they have a street named Eternal either, do they? But I have heard East 1999 is a legit street on. There it is.
Oh. East 99th Street.
Oh, maybe that's it. So they were.
East 119th Street.
Okay. So here's where they lived in Cleveland. Oh, East 99th Street.
I think
So is that rough?
yeah.
Is there poverty there? This is funny. I feel like we've had every single thing come up so far today. We're going to have to do the next one. Reboot, because there's no sound. That's okay. So poverty in Cincinnati, where I grew up, it's pretty bad. I don't know if Cleveland would be the same, worse, or any better. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Which high school were you in again?
I went to Warrensville Heights High School.
So was it private or public?
It was public.
Was it a like college prep? I was supposed to be in college prep, but it wasn't college prep. So that was the rough part. Whew. Purcell Marion High School. They didn't really teach us how to write papers. So you guys, what was the formatting you all used growing up in high school?
MLA.
Okay, that's what it seems like, yeah. Because we were all APA. But in high school, it was MLA. All right, now we should have sound. Dang, no chord, no sound, start over again, just keep on starting over. That's how life goes sometimes, though, and you keep on trudging forward. I wonder if you guys have heard any of the East 1999 or First of the Month, or that was one of the most famous, is this one. But it might just be too old now. It's like 25 years old. That's so sad, though. Oh, you have to buy them on Amazon sells it now? Is that for real? We've got Jalen's now in here too. Jade, Jalen, and so is it that I have to buy these before you play them? Like, how does
Yeah, you probably have to buy them. It's not gonna go for YouTube.
So sometimes YouTube makes it for free?
Professor Terence Tao is the equivalent of a rock star in mathematics.
Regarded as the greatest mathematician.
Tell me if you've ever heard this one before. This is your hometown. I had a video. 7 a.m. Nobody's ever heard it. So it's about when, in the old days you would get your check on the first of the month. And now they spread it out. So like some get it on the 1st, some get it on the 7th, some get it on the 15th, 22nd, 28th. Is that Cleveland? I guess you don't know. Yeah, so when you say Cleveland, this is the first band that comes to mind for me. Called Bone Thugs and Harmony, but now they're old. Oh, we got Lichtenberg here too. He might remember this song because he's an old guy. So to kind of give the breakdown of the first of the month, it would be like exciting because you're getting fresh cash to buy food on the first of the month. And it's just, there's so many songs that you can look up that are specific to poverty, food stamps. You guys could probably name more than I could. This was like one of the only ones back when I grew up. But have you heard other people singing about either the stimmy checks or the first of the month or things?
Yeah.
Really? So tell me some, just because now I'm curious.
When they sing this one song like Just Got Paid, it's Friday night.
Okay. All right. So is that by Johnny Kemp?
Yeah.
Or NSYNC? Oh, that's NSYNC. Or,
You know the first one.
okay. Because living paycheck to paycheck, you also drained the account. And social workers are used to this. So you drain the account, and then when you just got paid, you could actually buy something big again. You're like, all right, now I've got a little bit of money for, how's it start out? How old is this? Oh, okay. All right. So maybe the 80s.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I love when they have videos because they don't do this anymore, do they? Like, do they make music videos like they used to? Like, why not?
I don't know.
Because they made good ones when I was growing up. So it's, again, kind of a testament to those of us who don't make enough to make it till the end of the month.
Mhm.
Maybe you don't budget well, and get paid on the first of the month too, which is actually kind of funny. So it's the same deal. And you look for that big purchase on the first of the month. Maybe you can go out, you can eat out dinner, you can, I don't know, a lot of things have changed though too. So more recently, you can use both your food stamps on Kroger.com, but they don't deliver.
Mhm.
And then Walmart.com does deliver, but you have to pay the $8 out of your pocket cash. They'll take food stamps for the purchase, but they'll deliver if you have $8 cash.
Mhm.
So just kind of breaking down the poverty in America. Shoot, now I got to go back to that PowerPoint. Did you know any social workers growing up?
Yeah, I do some social work.
And then what do you think mostly worked on?
You said, what did you say?
Like, did they serve kids, adults, children, or okay,
They served kids,
okay,
worked with kids, took them to different homes, and they had to get them out of the situation that they were in.
okay. Then a lot of social workers do family reunification also. So here's some of the poverty facts. These are 12 years old, but it was at 15% in 2010. They gave us a bunch of stimmy checks last year. Did you guys get stimmy checks too, or is that just us?
They actually had us fill out in our email yesterday. It was given $400 out.
Really?
Mhm.
Is that to all students?
Yeah, I mean, if you got
All-
the email, they said it
All
was out.
full time?
Right.
So I need to send the update then. There was an email yesterday in Central State that if you filled out the link, you would get $400 stimulus check.
That's right.
I was going to say, can you forward it to me?
Yes, right.
Can you forward that?
Mhm.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Because I still have a student that goes here, believe it or not. Did you guys get it instantaneously, or it's going to take like weeks to get it?
They said it's gonna, like, people are they're gonna start getting it like in the beginning of November.
Okay.
So maybe they might do it like alphabetical order.
2 weeks. Okay. So, and you've probably heard me say this before. I was excited when I got my stimulus check, especially in 2020 and 2021. But that also caused something that was called inflation. So my email is just jtrouth@centralstate.edu.
Mhm.
And I'll forward it on. That'll be exciting.
Okay, how do I forward it?
Usually there's reply all, and forward are your options if it was in your email. And so from the email, do you have Apple email? Do you have Apple? So what you do into here like this, that's Apple email. You open the email like that, and you hit that,
And
forward.
then you said your email is
JTRAUTH. Aaron Scriven's here too. Cool. So the next few chapters are interesting facts about poverty in America. High percentage of the poor are children, female. Oh, I got it. Thank you. Well, at least they're passing it on to you guys.
yes.
Huh. Oh, it's still the CARES Act.
Mhm.
So going into the poverty stuff, we have several videos that detail it, but mostly children, non-white families, female-headed households. Most who are poor are employed full-time.
Mhm.
Isn't that weird though? Can you work like all day? And that's part of where those songs come from. Like, just got paid, first of the month, all those. Like, you're
Right.
working 40 hours a week for sometimes $400. After taxes, you take home $300. So, social work and poverty. There's two prevailing social attitudes. One is blaming the individuals for impoverishment, a culture of poverty. And the second is holding society responsible for creating poverty. Social work emphasizes on empowerment oriented, and we support folks to gain self-sufficiency. So we try to get people out of poverty.
Mhm.
So here's the details of how much you have to make in certain states to be on the poverty line. Family of 4 is $23,000 a year. Oh yeah, it goes in Russian because I had a Russian student in one of my classes. So if that looks scary or confusing, that's why. Family of 1, you have to make above 11,000. In Alaska, it's actually 13,000. Family of 8 or more is 38,000 a year, and you're on the poverty line. So, also have some misconceptions about homelessness and poverty. One is that it's caused by mental illness or drug abuse. Another is that there's always shelter space available, even when there's not. Another is that homeless persons are unemployed, and that's not always the fact. Another is that government programs are sufficient to help you buy things, and that's not always the case. So here's some of the populations at risk. Those in a domestic violence relationship, folks diagnosed with mental illness, substance abuse disorders, and then veterans. So there's a documentary I always show about poor kids in America. What I keep seeing is they're even sending more updated ones in 2018, 2019, 2020, because it's not getting quickly better. This is the first time I've seen this one. Child Defense Fund. So I have heard more recently the food banks are slightly overwhelmed. With food inflation, it's gotten pretty bad. What's the most expensive thing you buy that you've seen go way up in price?
I was born by the river.
Groceries.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all of them.
Mhm.
All of them. So what do you shop for when you're up here? Do you have to go to the,
What I
even just chips and like,
chips, maybe cup noodles.
how much did those go up by?
Right.
Cup noodles used to be 19 cents. Now they're
Now
like,
they like, how
dang,
yeah.
that's like 5 times. Holy crap. Okay.
Right.
Well, I didn't know they were singing here, but I'm going to see what this video is about. Let's see if they're, shoot. Why can't I get it to play?
In a little tent. And oh, just like that river, I've been running ever since. What was supposed to be our room had like a dead lizard skeleton
Cincinnati.
in there. And we would sleep on the floor. You know, there were always like gnats around the bananas that we had. And in the backyard, the grass was like really high. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come.
We couldn't afford the house that we were living in before Dad left anymore. So I think the bank took the house, and so we had to move, and then we moved again. I think in the course of 4 or 5 years, we lived in like 7 different houses or something crazy like that.
When my dad left, we were struggling a lot because my mom is disabled and she can't get a job to help to pay for the bills, get food.
I lost a lot of weight. I remember I used to be a size 5, and I went from a size 5 to a size 0. So, I try to not eat too much. I try to eat in school.
There was nights where we didn't have anything to put in our stomachs.
It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die. 'Cause I don't know what's up there beyond the sky.
I remember sitting at the gas station. She's putting like 50 cents in the gas tank, and I'm like, I see other people, they're putting $20 in. Like, why are you doing that, Mom? And I asked her one day, I'm like, why do you put so little in? She's like, I don't have money to get to work.
She worked 4 jobs. There were days where like I hardly saw her at all just because she was working so much and she was always tired. And like it was really difficult to make ends meet.
When you're homeless, you don't have too much to call your own. So, food is when you don't have money, you don't have clothing. Food is definitely a necessity or a concern. Even still to this day, we have
the shelter. I felt like I was losing myself. My grades dwindled. My spirit died, and I didn't really want to do much.
When your kids kind of like want all these things, and when you don't have the money, you kind of sad. You're like, I kind of want it, but I can't have it.
It was kind of like chaotic, and it just, I don't know, didn't make you feel very like secure about anything.
It's been a long time coming, but I know a change. Oh, yes, it will.
So that actually could have been one of the agencies I worked at. So it says here, child poverty is not an abstract problem. It's real. For too many children in America, they face challenges. And you'll find more than I would be comfortable with to see about child poverty on these. So social workers, how do we help end homelessness and poverty? We try to help ensure affordable and adequate housing. We advocate for housing subsidies. We strengthen continuum of housing and income assistance. We also do fund prevention programs, education and job training, and then promote living wage policies.
What they watching?
I know. That's what I'm saying. It always seems. Now, this is saying the pandemic led to a significant decline in child poverty. Should we believe that? I'm curious now, as it just came out last month, too. So this is like an update, maybe because of the STEMI checks.
I don't wish to sound
But I don't-
but I am the only female.
I don't believe it. I feel like
She's a what?
now with inflation,
Some kind of future with Inspector Wellington. You need to start considering.
it's going to be a little bit worse. So this headline exactly a month ago was how pandemic led to a significant decline in child poverty. But the video I normally show is kind of graphic as to the types of child poverty that we do see.
Child poverty rate in the U.S. fell by nearly half last year to 5.2%. That is the lowest level on record and is based on a Census Bureau measure that takes into account cash benefits, tax credits, and other kinds of non-cash benefits,
That's why.
many of which increased during the pandemic. Meantime, inequality increased and median income remained largely flat. That drop in childhood poverty was preceded by an even larger decline since the 90s. All this is according to a new analysis done by the nonpartisan research group Child Trends and the New York Times. Dana Thompson is one of the lead researchers, and she joins me now. So hello, Dana Thompson. Dropping by nearly half child poverty, how did it happen?
That's a great question. Yes, what we're looking at here is really a remarkable success story. In 1993, about 1 in 4 kids in the U.S. were experiencing poverty. 1 in 4 kids in the U.S. were experiencing poverty. And by 2019, we had reduced that by nearly 60% to 1 in 10. And that's largely thanks to the growth in the social safety net and a healthy economy.
So social safety net, that means government programs. What portion of this drop would you say is due to government aid?
So we didn't estimate the exact portion due to government aid, but we did include, as you said, a collection of programs. And we looked at programs such as the Earned Income Tax Credit, Social Security, nutrition and housing assistance, and unemployment insurance. And together, they reduced child poverty by about 44% in 2019 alone.
And you said, but some of this also due to improvements in the economy?
That's exactly right. So in 2019, we had lower unemployment rates, more single moms during the workforce, and increases in state minimum wages. And each of those were associated with the decline in child poverty.
And where, Dana Thompson, do you see most of this improvement? I mean, is it spread evenly among all children, or are there differences geographically, racially, or by some other measure?
Yeah, so amazingly, we saw child poverty decline across all 50 states and DC and across all levels of poverty. We also saw child poverty decline for nearly all subgroups of children that we examined, that include children in immigrant families as well as children in non-immigrant families. We saw declines across all race ethnicities, and we just saw declines across different family types. However, because poverty declined at similar rates for each of these groups, the disparities between these groups persisted. So children in single parent families and Black and Hispanic children were about 3 times as likely to experience poverty in 1993, and they're still 3 times as likely to experience poverty as their peers.
So you're not seeing an improvement when it comes to comparing some of these specific groups, is that right?
That's correct.
Let me ask you about the view of some conservatives out there who say when you give this kind of government aid, it should be accompanied by a work requirement. How much was there a work requirement in the programs that you described? And can you tell whether that had an effect one way or another?
Yeah, so the amazing thing about this decline is that we've also seen it is fairly robust across multiple administrations. And the social safety net is comprised of a mix of programs. Some of those programs have work requirements. Some of them are have no work requirements. So the Earned Income Tax Credit, for instance, is conditional on work, and it's been one of our most effective longstanding programs for reducing child poverty. And it's particularly important because it helps make work for families, because it boosts their wages. There are also a host of other programs, many of which are not conditional on work, and these include the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program and unemployment insurance. And those programs naturally expand during recessions and are really critical for families when they're facing temporary setbacks.
So remind us, are these, to what extent are these programs you've been talking about in danger of being cut back or eliminated altogether? I mean, what are we looking at in terms of their durability, the fact that they would continue for years to come? What do you see there?
I do think that we have kind of a robust mix of programs right now. And again, as I said, this mix of programs has solid backing from the programs. Of course, we've seen during recessions the implementation of a number of temporary measures that have helped families really make ends meet during times of increased economic stimulus payments, the advanced child tax credit, pandemic EBT, and rental assistance. And those have been really critical for preventing an increase in child poverty and are important moving forward as well.
I should say finally that there are still, by what you're reporting, over 8 million American children who are still living below the poverty line. In a nutshell, what's the...
It's really important to remember that there are real people behind it, from physical and mental health as well as behavioral health to educational attainment and labor market success as adults. So reducing child poverty not only improves well-being for children and families, but it also has long-term benefits for society.
Dana Thompson with Child Friends, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
So 4% of children 0 to 17 had no health insurance. That's still bad considering there is access to free health insurance for everybody now. So some things that come up with poverty, it's a human rights issue. So human rights and social justice. Homelessness is linked to economic factors such as lack of affordable housing and also poverty and low income, and then social issues such as substance abuse and mental illness and domestic violence. So a lot of them, they're changing the way they measure child poverty. That's why a lot of this is showing that it's going down. So they'll count stimulus checks, they'll count event money. Oh, they want me to pay to log in. No. And then this was the last one, but.
What is the real story of January 6th? Many people have asked that question. Some people have.
Monica Wright is 22 years old and a single mother of 2 daughters. As she expects her 3rd child, a son, her partner is in jail.
I go minimum wage with them fast, be to take care of yourself, your kid. But it's not, it's only enough. Half the time you can't even pay for your apartment.
For a while, Monica worked 2 jobs in retail. When her employers asked her to work in the evenings and no one was there to watch her kids, she was forced to resign. With no money and soon to be kicked out of her apartment, she says running out of food happens often.
It feels kind of bad not being able to have food for your kids, you know what I'm saying, when you need it, because you have to put other needs first, like you have to put needs about paying bills and all that stuff.
According to a recent study by UNICEF, the United States has the 2nd highest child poverty rate among 35 industrialized countries, second only to Romania.
We think of the United States as the land of opportunity. We think of the United States as the place to come to give your children the chance that they may not have in other countries, but there are many other countries that are far less rich than the United States, where children are actually less likely to be poor.
That means that 1 out of every 5 children in the United States, one of the richest countries in the world, is right now living in poverty.
That's 14.7 million children who are dealing with poverty, dealing every day, day in, day out, with maybe not having enough to eat, not being sure where they're going to sleep, seeing their parents struggle with multiple jobs to be able to put food on the table. These are things that have lifelong consequences on children.
Children in families like Monica's.
I always buy a lot of fish because fish go a long way. I buy chicken because chicken go a long way. You know what I'm saying? Because I never know when I'm not going to have nothing.
In the United States, despite increases in the cost of living, the federal minimum wage has remained stagnant at $7.25 an hour since 2007. So schools and daycare centers have begun to compensate for what many parents are simply no longer able to provide.
So schools are giving things over the weekend. Oftentimes, the only meal the children will eat are their lunch, and they go home and there's nothing to eat.
My youngest daughter, she doesn't really understand that food thing. She doesn't really understand that food thing. It don't really bother her. My oldest daughter, telling her, I just told her we had to go to granddad's house because there's no food in here. She say, "But mommy, why is no food in here?" And I say, "Because mommy don't got no money."
These are the sort of stressful experiences that for young children can have a lack
abilities, their reasoning abilities, their emotional ability to control their emotions, the ability to think things through. And when you are experiencing adversity in those early years, that kind of stress turns toxic.
But for Monica, all she can think of is the basics.
All I need money for is for an apartment, food, clothing for my kids, and we good.
While current levels of child poverty were caused in part by the recession, income inequality and scarce benefits for low-wage families have also played a role.
If you are born into a community where you are more likely to face discrimination, where you have fewer resources, where your parents have a harder time, it's just not fair, and it offends the fundamental bedrock of this country.
Livable wages and a safety net comparable to that of other Western democracies, the bare necessities of working-class families in the United States. Going without is a cost that children living in one of the richest countries in the world can no longer afford.
So I'm not going to show you the poverty documentary today, as it would take a bit of time, but wanted to get you guys halfway through to unemployment stuff. So unemployment is supposedly low right now, but a round of like stimulus checks are coming soon. So any questions about like poverty, homeless, unemployment, any of those things?
No, but are you going to put the directions for the PowerPoint on B2M?
It's in the assignment, yeah.
Okay, it's in the assignment? Okay.
Yep. That's the thing that I read from where it says edit the assignment. Right here, yeah, it has the directions on there. So, and then you can be the present if you want to. That's all that I have got.
And then after this, you got another paper?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's getting close to the end.